Okay, so the update. This last year has been pretty big in terms of life stuff. So we've spent the last year getting our house ready for the rental market, figuring out our job situation and our income situation. And then I've been working on our house, and I also completed a camper build out for our future land adventures. I'll tell you about that in a second. We will have a walkthrough of that camper to follow. So yeah, it's been a busy last year. We just switched our logo over to Easy Day Adventures, which you can see in the screen. And that's because, we just realized that sailing was, we were on the sailboat part of the time. And then the other part of the time, we wanted to be able to do, more overland things and other travel related stuff. So let's talk about the next couple of months. The next couple of months. First, here shortly, we're going to be spending part of the summer actually in Norway, exploring my grandfather's homeland in southern Norway. So we're really excited about that. We'll make some videos. And then after that, we come back in that camper that I just told you about. We're going to be driving that all the way up to the Arctic Ocean in Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, which is the furthest north that you can actually drive in North America. So talked to Daniela right before filming this video, and she's okay with letting out our big secret. We haven't really told this to anybody, but this will be a leg that's part of a bigger mission, and that is to drive with our camper the full Pan-American Highway from Prudhoe Bay, Alaska to Ushuaia, Argentina. So yeah, that's the big news. We're really excited about that. It won't be all in one go because in the fall, we're actually planning to get back down to Easy Day down in Mexico. And we're going to be doing some more boat work, followed by launching the boat probably in December. And that is going to be hopefully a bigger and bluer sailing season than last year held. So yeah, that's all the updates last year, and then what the rest of this year looks like, and a little bit beyond. So yeah, come join us for all of that fun. Easy day. All right, so let's talk about boat projects. Yeah, so the two big ones were refinishing the rudder and then refinishing the entire hull. So in July last year, I drove down to Mexico and it was extremely hot, but I was able to get the rudder. Actually, I was able to drop the rudder by myself with a chain hoist, held from above, and slowly lower it down. So that was no small feat because that thing weighs like 400 pounds. But I so brought the rudder back here to Colorado. And if you saw in our last video, you'll know why that was necessary. We had a bunch of water inside the rudder. Once we lifted it out of the water, I drilled a hole in it to check it, and it was just like dumping water out. So it was necessary to really spend some time drying it out. So once I got it back to Colorado, it sat in the backyard for about 5 months, and that was the time that I completed all of this work. So first I drilled several holes into it, opened it up basically, and then put a vacuum on it for about a week. So it was pulling air through it to make sure that, the inside of the rudder was super duper dry. Once that was done, and I had already removed all of the old anti-foul, and I'd stripped it down just to the fiberglass, I was then able to chip out this expanding foam that sealed the bolts that held the fiberglass to the internal stainless steel structure. Chip that out because some of it had been compromised and water had been entering the rudder that way. I refilled that with expanding foam, 16-pound expanding foam, so some really dense stuff. I then cut that and then covered all of that with a layer of fiberglass. So then I began to ferret it and sanded it several times. And then it was ready to go for the barrier coat, which I did that in the garage.
All right, just got the rudder inside the garage. We have temperatures warm enough to roll on some 2-part epoxy barrier coat. So just got the first coat on. Got 4 coats more to go on the barrier coat, and then we're doing 2 coats of copper coat after that. So making progress. We put these weights and this steel tubing, the steel pipe to counteract it. So right now, to hold up that side off the ground so I can paint it all, we just got it kind of seesawing there. So making progress.
I used Interlock 2000E, did like 5 coats of that. And then I had ordered a bunch of copper coat. So I used 1 kit of copper coat to finish off the rudder. Fast forward to end of December, January timeline. We jumped in the truck along with the rudder, the finished rudder, nice pretty rudder, jumped in the truck and we drove the 16 hours back down to Penasco. Had a little bit of I don't know, discussion at the border because the Mexican customs officers thought that the rudder was actually new and that we had purchased it and brought it to Mexico. So I ended up, we ended up showing them pictures of, you know, the old one, you know, before I refinished it off the boat. And so they let us through without having to pay any duty. But I felt like that was like a bit of a compliment. So I appreciated that, even though it, you know, burned a little bit of time. And once I got down there, I started the 5-week process of refinishing the hull. So sorry for my tone in this next video, but at the beginning of that, I had a little bit of an issue, like wrapping my head around the amount of work that I had in front of me. So check it out.
How did you go this morning?
Oh, not so great. I mean, it's just the whole hull needs to be faired. So it's
Hey, no, don't go up
I'm
there.
sanding this to start fairing. It's gonna be a very long process. Okay, so all in all, like this whole job took 160 man hours to complete. 70 of those were actually me lying on my back or me with a sander over my head, just sanding. So like almost half of those hours. Yes, I did keep a spreadsheet of all of my man hours. I don't know, I just kind of wanted to know at the end, maybe just to be able to tell you. So that was a lot of work. Yeah, the thing is the sandblasting, actually like the sandblaster kind of like wrote its name into the fiberglass. Like once it got through all of the anti-foul, you know, it basically like created kind of like a turtle's back, which was a very not smooth, not fair surface. So, you know, the work was, you know, kind of fixing that. So, you know, I'm not sure whether or not I would sandblast again. I'm not 100% sure that the sandblasting actually saved me time. I might have been able to move faster with a really good sander and some great sandpaper, which I'll talk about here in a second. But jury's still out. Maybe it was faster. I'm not sure. I'll have to, I don't know, someday just not do the sandblasting and I'll be able to say for sure.
So yeah, so
Just starting to fair the keel joint. I'm gonna do vertically, let that dry, sand. Horizontally, let that dry, sand. And then I'm gonna use a fillet and create like a nice curved edge right there in the corner. So that'll all look
and that
perfect
needs
and
to,
seamless.
yeah,
And yeah, so
cool.
just fairing the keel. Once I was done with the sanding, I then was able to start rolling on the barrier coat, kind of see where it still needed some fairing. And then I was able to fair a little bit, sand, barrier coat. So I ended up putting on like 7 or 8 coats of barrier coat. Some of it, you know, I'd sanded down a little bit. So in certain areas, it's a little bit thinner. Trying to show Just trying to show how fair the hull now is. There's just some variations where the different layers of paint went on. But she is a super duper fair hull right now. Woohoo! Only 2 more coats to go, then we can copper coat. My plan was to copper coat. Like, I had all the kits with me and everything like that, but just after getting through all of that work, I think I was 4 weeks into the project, and I just couldn't wrap my head around the requirement of sanding again to burnish the copper coat. Not to mention I was running out of time. The barrier coat I put on, there was a little bit of orange peel, so that would have had to been knocked down. So I ended up switching back to just an ablative. So, you know, yes, the rudder is actually copper coat, and the boat is a nice, really pretty red. But yeah, that's why I ended up, you know, going with ablative. It's a copper coat is a lot of work, and it was just me, so I wasn't sure that I had it in me. But at the end of the day, she's gonna sail a lot faster than she did during our last season. She looks great. The hull is really, really fair, because I did spend a lot of time making sure that was perfect. So yeah, super happy with the final results, even though it took me like 5 weeks. Yeah, so in the meantime, moving forward, I'm also I got a TIG welder now. I'm learning how to TIG weld stainless steel. So I actually have 20 sticks of 20-foot stainless steel tubing, 1-inch diameter, that in November I'm going to go down and I'm going to install hard rails on board Easy Day. So that's my big November project before we launch again in December. So stay tuned. I'll definitely capture videos of that, and whether it's success or failure, because TIG welding is like not a super easy process. Yeah, and then last up, stay tuned, because our next video is going to be a walkthrough of our overland camper build that I prepared for our Alaska trip. So stay tuned for that. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching.